So let's talk about 5 truths that your girl has learned about herself at age 40. At this point in time, y'all, I should know a little about a little, right? Like, I'm not saying I need to know everything, but I should know a little about a little, especially when it comes to myself, right? Like, I should have some type of idea, of my strengths, my weaknesses, what brings me joy. I should have a little bit of ideas, right? Now, I will say, of course, the older I get, the more I realize how little I know and how much I need to learn. I definitely own that right there. But I do believe that when you know better, you do better, right? And so let's just talk about the 5 things I've learned about myself. I'm lazy. I am lazy. Let me tell you something. When I tell you that I enjoy downtime, I enjoy sitting on my sofa with my aloe vera socks on, with my TJ Maxx throw for whatever season it is, with my Hershey Hugs watching my life below zero. I enjoy it. Now, I'm not saying I need it every day. I'm not gonna be like that. I mean, it would be it would be beautiful, but I'm not saying I need to have that every day, but I've got to have it maybe a couple days in the week for me to consider that I had a successful week. So as someone who has realized that most of her life, her identity, her praise, her accolations have all been based around productivity, always getting straight A's, always being, the best cheerleader, always being the best this, being at every this, being at every that, taking this, taking that, doing all the extra credit, getting the A's, that is how I received attention, how I receive love. And as someone whose whole life has taught her that is how you get the praise, that was really tough for me to admit to myself. Like, it's really tough to admit to myself that, yeah, girl, you've been grinding all your life, but you don't want to. You don't want to. That is not what you consider being who you want to be. And even on another level, I do have a business. I am an entrepreneur, and I'm in the early stages of this entrepreneur journey. So finding out that I'm only wanting to put so much energy into this thing, that is tough. Like I said, I'm just now understanding these things, or at least being open and honest about these things to myself. So this is a tough one for me because yeah, I'm a party of one. I am the business. And there's a lot of skills I don't know. I don't know marketing. I don't know editing. I don't know social media. Like, I don't know so many things. And for me to be able to grasp some knowledge of that so that I can keep this train going, that takes time. That takes effort. That takes me researching. That takes me taking classes. That takes all this time. And you take it taking all this time to win with the fact that I don't want to put all this energy in it. Like, where does that leave me? Does that mean I'm not supposed to be an entrepreneur? Does that mean this is not supposed to be my thing? So this one is really a tough one for me that I am definitely still trying to grasp. I think, in my opinion, what's important here is to understand, number one, how I feel about it. Honestly, how much grinding am I willing to put into it? And then trying to see what I can do to make that fit my spirit and how I want to handle things. Now, I know there is some part that just, girl, suck it up. Suck it up. Put your big girl panties on. I know there's a level of that, period. But I think there's also a level of you don't have to go this route. You don't have to do these same things. You don't have to be here, there, and everywhere. You don't have to have a social media presence everywhere. Like, I think there is a level for me to get to. I just have to understand how to use the resources and the time allocation that I want to give to this and figure out how it works with everything else. So this is still something I'm trying to figure out with, but the reality is I'm lazy. I'm judgy. This one sucks. Now, this one is a tough one because I used to be around people all the time, some of my clients even, and I'd be like, girl, you are so judgy. And it was just this, this, I did not want to be it. And I would consider myself a pretty open person. Unfortunately, I do have some old school beliefs that we're trying to get rid of, okay? I think that's just like teachings more than beliefs, but whatever. Different conversation. But, I don't want to be judgy. And the thing that's scary about my judginess is it's not malicious. It doesn't come across in that obvious, now she knows she ain't supposed to be wearing that. Girl, please. It don't come across like that. Mine comes across in the, oh, that poor thing. She's still out here trying to feed herself with things. She really hasn't learned that it all comes from, judgy. Judgy. Because even if in my mind I'm thinking of it as a poor girl, it still comes out as what I do is better than what you do, which is judgment to a T, in my opinion. And I don't want to be that girl. I don't want to be that girl. What I'm trying to get to is a place of neutrality. Is that a word? Neutrality? I'm trying to get to a place where other people's actions are neutral. I'm not assigning positive, negative. I'm not assigning good, bad. I'm not assigning any of those things. It's just a neutral action. Girl, she went out and bought the whole Sephora. Cool. Yeah. Girl, I threw away all my makeup. Cool. Neutral. Right? Like, it doesn't affect me, and so for me, I think my judginess is a little bit harder to get rid of because it's easy to justify it. But the reality is it's judginess nonetheless. And I'm trying to tell y'all, your girl ain't about that. I ain't about that at all. So this one is a one that's on my radar that I am in the moment trying to correct. And my daughter helps me because these 16-year-olds are a different breed out here. They'll tell you like it is. But she'll try to help me and bring me back in as well. But this one's a tough one, and this is one that I am not happy with at all. But I'm learning, and like they always say, the first step is admitting it and being aware of it, and then taking actions in the moment. And I'm feeling like if I can stop myself in the moment versus 3 days later thinking about it, then I'm growing. Okay, but yeah, just be honest with yourself. Are you judgy? Comment down. Tell me down below. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with me. Be honest with everybody here. And let us know. Are you judgy? I've lost my sense of style. Now, this one, I think, is more of I was stuck in purgatory, so to speak. Or you might not know, but for a long time I was in the corporate world, as in getting up, going out, putting on my business casual, or putting on my business attire and going out into an office and seeing and speaking and touching base with some pretty high up people in the company, some serious stakeholders. So I had, and over time, in the beginning, my wardrobe was full of some cheapy things, but as time progressed and I started actually understanding what I liked and what I didn't like, and I started to get the funds, to be able to afford the good stuff, I did start curating a rather high quality wardrobe that I was really, really proud of. I had some really nice, crisp white blouses and some slacks and some blazers and some heels and some pumps. I curated a very nice closet. And so it was very hard for me to let that go because I'd spent so much time trying to get it right, not to mention so much money. That was an investment that I wasn't really willing to let go of. So I was kind of caught in that past self, and then I also had an idea of my fantasy self. So in my head there was this girl out there that was meshing her business attire with her casual attire, throwing on some chucks and a blazer and just looking just so trendy and so influencer, right? And again, while I might get to her, the reality is the way my life is set up, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense for me to wear it at home. It doesn't make any sense for me to wear it at the shop. So it's just kind of like, where is this person fitting in, right? So finally, I had to actually sit down. And of course, the negative of all this is that when I go to the closet, I have nothing to wear because nothing is for the tea today, right? I'm last year tea and 2030 tea, but where is today tea? Where is today tea? So I finally had to sit down and be like, okay, girl, what do you like to wear? What is the vibe you trying to project? What is the feeling that you want to portray? And how can we make this mesh with the fact that you're home a lot, you work from home a lot, but then you're also in a more casual environment that I own, that I create, that doesn't really match this kind of thing. I didn't have a today me style, and that was really, really messing me up. I had lost my sexy. Now, this one is another tough one because when I say sexy, I don't mean it in the traditional Victoria's Secret lingerie kind of sexy. Although you do your thing, girl. Don't think I don't got a couple of them, okay? But what I mean really when I say sexy is just the vibe of sexy. And when I think of sexy, I do think of confident. I do think of flirty. I do think of sassy. You know, I do think of bitch please. So I had lost that, you know. I have a teenage daughter, and it was very important for me to look like an adult, to look like a mom. I did not want to match her style. I did not want to look like I was trying to be Forever 21. I did not want to look like I was out here trying to compete with my daughter. I don't like that vibe, you know, and honestly, that's a problem, I feel like, in society today anyways, but that's neither here nor there. But I wanted to make sure I did not come across that way. And unfortunately, what I did was I ended up going way over to the other side of the spectrum and really completely losing, you know, my sexy. And I will be honest and say, you know, your girl work out almost 7 days a week. I mean, I'm just gonna be real with you. I work out. I put in that work, and I look good, you know, especially from the chest down. I wish I was a little bit bigger on the chest up, but from the abs down, child, please, you can't tell me nothing. And so for me, even though I was working so hard in the gym and I really liked how I looked afterwards, I would just cover it all up, and you know, that ain't really my vibe. You know, my vibe is a little bit of sexiness. You know, my vibe is a little bit of sass. My vibe is a little bit of skin. You know, that's just what I like. And you know, so for me, you know, putting on a crop top, you know, or putting on some bell bottom pants where you could see all that goodness, like that was my sexy. And I forgot that for a very long time. And I feel like once that started going, I started losing all kinds of myself, you know. And I'll be honest and say, you know, Mr. Tatika has no problems on a daily basis telling me how sexy I am. So it's not from a outside looking in. It was personally I had lost that. And when I say sexy, again, find out what makes you feel like that girl. You know what I wanted to say, right? You know what I wanted to say. But what makes you feel like the hottest girl in the room? You know, do you think you have a beautiful, beautiful décolleté? You know, do you feel like your shoulders are sexy? Do you feel like your neck is graceful and gorgeous? You know, do you feel like you got pretty feet? You know, do you feel like your elbows are popping? You know, whatever it is, find it and embrace it. You know, maybe wear some tops without the elbows in it, you know, or maybe put yourself on an off the shoulder top, you know, maybe put you on little booty shorts, you know, but then put a sweater over it. Find your sexy, because everything else radiates from that. You know, if you're sexy and you're confident, again, however big, however large, you know, once you find that, it just kind of flows throughout everything. And I honestly feel like it's a part of my femininity. Let me say that. I'm not trying to push that on anybody else. I'm not trying to police women at all. But for me, that is a big part of my vibe and my style. And so I lost it, and finding it again was really, really important. But I had to switch it up and let go of what everything else was telling me was sexy and figure it out on my own. Your idea of success has changed. And for me, the truth of this one is probably I just finally figured out what success looks like to me, in complete honesty. Like, guys, let me tell you this. I can sit back and I can honestly say I have been graced with so many wonderful things when it comes to situations and opportunities, and you know, when it comes to family and my spouse and my kids. Like, I honestly feel like I have been extremely, you know, I've really been given a great hand. I really have. And I really do appreciate it. But with each piece of success that I got, I realize, or every level of success that I continue to rise to, I'm kind of starting to realize that these pieces or these steps are just small, I don't know, So I used to think that, or at one point in time, success for me was having manager somewhere in my title, work, having an actual office, a solo office, not a cubicle, making so much money a year. That was my idea of success. Well, I got there. I got all of those things and I was so unhappy. Reason being, I was working all the time, y'all. And I was working for a company that was really small, so everybody wore a lot of hats and there was never downtime. Like, even whenever I was home, I was having to think and I was having to work off the clock and I was having to try to find my own resources and I was trying to have to figure out how to grow this skill set and do all this because the company I worked for didn't have the resources or the support to build their employees up to this point. So it was really up to you to figure it out on your own. And honestly, guys, that's exhausting. That's exhausting when you don't have the support from management or for anyone in the company. So I got to that point and realized, oh, I'm tasting it. It's hitting on some points. Like, I love the fact that we're, finances are good and solid and on auto pay. I'm feeling good here and I've got this office, but I don't like the fact that I'm working all the time. I don't like the fact that I'm having to do all this research outside of the company to figure out how to do things. I don't like the fact that I'm having to spend my own money trying to learn these skills. Like, suddenly success didn't look so successful, right? And then also, just a little while ago, my idea changed of having my own business, right? And I still feel like that is a huge part of my overall success, but I'm also learning, like I mentioned earlier, I'm not willing to put 10 hours in a day at this. I'm not willing to lash from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. I'm not willing to lash every single weekday. Oh, I'm not willing to last every single weekend. I'm not willing to drive 2 hours for a lash client. I am not willing to do that. My idea of a successful business is not being available at all hours of the night. And again, this one's hard for me too because my husband is like, he was born an entrepreneur. Like, my husband was born to do this. He has no problems being contacted at all hours of the night by his clients. He has no problem driving 4 hours to pick up a dog. Like, not only does he not have a problem, he loves it. Like, that is what he likes to give to his clients. And so for him, entrepreneurship and it's that grind all the time, that's what makes his dreams come true. Not for your girl. Not for your girl. Not for your girl. And so for me, again, now I'm at this point where I've tasted it, but I don't know if I like the flavor. I don't know if I like the flavor. So this is one that I'll be honest with you guys and say that I'm trying to figure this out. I'm almost kind of feeling like maybe the lash business should be the side hustle and I should go back to just the corporate. I don't know. I will say this one is something I'm still working with, but it comes down to the fact that my idea of success has changed. Like, my idea of, who I want to be and where I want to be, it's changed, and I think finally me being honest with that is one of the most important things that I figured out, because you keep pushing yourself in this direction because you think this is what success looks like, and you're not taking the time to tweak it or to be realistic of it. Like, I would see so many people, especially so many people who are in the entrepreneur field, just being a boss. They're running their social media, they're running their YouTube, they're running everything, they're collabing, they're reaching out, they're promoting. Every time you turn around, they got something going on. I wanted that so bad. But the reality is I'm not willing to put in all that effort. I'm not willing to put in all the effort. So where do I go from here? Like, where do I go from here? So it's just, I don't know, guys. I feel like these are definitely just a few of the many truths that I figured out about myself, but I figured they might ring true to a lot of people. And as you noticed, a lot of them I'm aware of, but I'm still working on. I'm still trying to figure out how I'm supposed to make this work with who I want to be and what I want to give off and the vibe I want to feel and the energy I want to experience. I'm still trying to figure out how to make that mesh. But I think, again, it comes back to acknowledgement, right? Like, y'all, at 40, I got to be honest with myself, right? Like, I got to be honest with myself on all fronts. You know, do I want to do this? You know, am I going to put in the effort? You know, do I want to do this for several years? I will say I'm very proud of myself for constantly being willing to try things, for constantly being willing to switch directions, and to constantly be willing to say, let me switch it over. But at the same time, I'm also trying to get to a point where I've got something understood, you know, like I've got some kind of basis that I know is what the basis is. And again, trial and error, right? Like, I feel like a lot of times figuring out what you want to do and who you want to be sometimes isn't so much as finding that person, or so much as figuring out who you don't want to be, what you don't want to do. You know, sometimes what you don't want to do is just as powerful as what you do. And so for me, that's kind of how I feel like I'm taking the, like, let me try this. Not really. Let me do, that ain't me, girl. That ain't me, girl. So, you know, I'm proud of myself for being willing to, but, you know, at some point in time, I won't figure it out. I want to figure it out. So, you know, comment down below, let me know. You know, like I said, 40 is just a number. You know, it's just, time is an easy metric, right? And, you know, age, 20s, 30s, 40s, it's just so easy for us to use those metrics of time. But just let me know, like, what have you figured out about yourself today? Like, what do you know about yourself today that you wouldn't have admitted to, or you just didn't know a little bit of time ago? You know, comment down below and let me know, because speaking it, that's just half the battle. That's just half the battle. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you had a chance to check out my previous video where I was just talking about some of my favorites and kind of focusing on why those are my favorites that kind of blend back into this, you know, 40, you know, I'm figuring some things out, you know, unlearning some things, learning some truths. and it's all connected. So thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned to the next one, which I think will be the style video. It'll either be the style video, or we might be digging deeper into success. It's gonna be one of those two. But take a look around, you know, and see what your girl has to offer. And if you like what you're seeing, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And I'll catch you next time.